Africa, and welcome to yet another exciting episode here at the Chiye Africa podcast, where we shine the light on education, aviation, STEM, science and technology, community development, and the brilliance of Africa in entrepreneurship and youth empowerment. And speaking of youth empowerment, I am joined today by a brilliant mind. You will hear what she has to say. You're going to see that, yes, indeed, Africa is really training brilliant minds out there, especially young people that are really doing something important. And her name is Fadzai Betty Mugobi. Fadzi, welcome to Cheer Africa podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are so excited. It's always a pleasure sitting down with young people, young minds that are doing something for their communities in education. And today we're going to be talking all of things education with you so that young girls out there are also inspired. Good. So I'm going to leave the light to Fadzai right now to introduce herself properly, because I don't want to take all the light from you. You know yourself better, so that our audience on the African continent can also know you better as well.
Okay, thank you so much. So my name is Fadzai Betty Mugobi. I'm the last born in a family of 3, being the only girl. I am an incoming sophomore, getting into my second year at Ashesi University, majoring in business administration.
Okay, fancy, right? She's a sophomore. So for all my people like me, my ghetto youth, sophomore means she's getting into her second year now in university. So Fadzai, let's take it back. You are now getting into your second year in administration, but before we move into administration, I understand that you also started with engineering when you went for varsity. So tell us what happened. Why did you switch from engineering to business administration?
Okay, so the main goal is to get into business management in aviation. And I have a science background. I've always wanted to do engineering. That is what I've always aspired to do. But now, after experiencing it at school and everything, I realized that I'm not that passionate about it. So I had to make a switch. It is also an advantage at the university that I am at, because it's a liberal arts university and you declare a major as you get into your second year. So just decided to make a change as soon as possible, because
that's really nice. You know, thinking when you mentioned that you're at a liberal arts university, I'm actually realizing that it's something that I should also have went for, because during my time in university I wanted to switch, but because of the system that I had registered under, it's a whole lot of process, because you're not changing faculties and you won't actually continue your years. Like, you're so lucky that you are now only still left with the 3 years.
Yes.
But in other systems you actually have to restart.
That's true.
And that's really hectic. But then I'm so glad that it went for you, like you switching. Now let's take it back to your high school. You went to Harare High in Mbare, which is one of the best schools in Harare, to be honest. Then you went from Harare High, then you went to St. George's College. So you going to St. George's College was under the Makomborero
Zimbabwe Scholarship.
So can you tell us more about that? Like, what actually happened for you to be part of that foundation when you got the scholarship, the work that you actually had to do, and how the foundation was actually we're interested in Fadzai. She has something that we're looking for as a foundation, that we can actually sponsor her education and actually make her switch schools.
Okay, alright. So from Form 1 to Form 4 I was at Harare High School. But before I went to Harare High School, I knew about Makomborero Zimbabwe because of my elder brother, the second born in my family. He was once part of it. So growing up, you'd always talk about it, but I wasn't taking it seriously. And it's something that I would always share with my friends. Even when I was in Form 1 and in Form 2, I never researched much about it, but I just knew that Makomborero Zimbabwe existed. Then when we're now in Form 3, it took 7 months at home because of COVID-19. That is when we had like those prolonged lockdowns and everything. That is when like I met someone in my area, and she just said, I'm under Makomborero Zimbabwe and everything, and I'm learning at St. George's. She was one of the first streams of girls at St. George's. St. George's used to be a boys' high school. Exactly. So then I was like, oh, okay, really? But this person was not like under Makomborero Zimbabwe. Yes. So After that, when we're now in Form 4, we saw applications to we saw Makomborero Zimbabwe applications and USAP applications. And having known about it from my brother and what I've had, I got excited and I was like, okay, let me just go for it and let me just apply for it. And luckily, I don't know, in as much as I wasn't researching more about it, it seems like I was building a foundation for it. Just something I think that people are supposed to know what is needed for the scholarships early, because sometimes we tend to look for them when we pass, and there are other things we have done from previously, from back then. So I think it's always important to know.
And you actually mentioned that it's important, the reason why it's important for people to actually know about scholarships, because people only tend to think that only a pass can get you a scholarship, but they forget that no, you actually need those extra activities. There's work cannot do or so. And you're actually right, because even if you have 15 points or 20 A's, it won't guarantee you a scholarship. Because most scholarships are there, especially now where the world is going digital, where the world is going. People are actually looking for people that are skill, have so many skills, not just the academically or theoretical one, but even the practical one. So that's really interesting. So can you also say that the push that you got from your brother and you actually meeting someone who had said, no, you can try this, cemented you wanting to be excited and say, should I actually do this and switch schools and really follow what I really wanted to do? Because what you were doing at Harare High, is it like the same syllabus or the same subjects that you went to do at St. George's?
Some subjects, but the curriculum may change, because at Harare High it's St. George's, it's Cambridge. Exactly. And for you to be like what you asked me earlier on, so things like Makomborero Zimbabwe distributes applications both online and in person across Zimbabwe, and after that you apply. So you're supposed to submit your transcript, you're supposed to submit recommendation letters, then there's some essays you have to write, and for any scholarship many times you have to write an essay that sort of like reflects on the reason why you need the scholarship and everything. So those are the things that you have to write. Then after that they select a certain number of people from a large pool of people. So like I can't remember, but in our stream like more than 500 people applied. Then across Zimbabwe, not from the same school, across across Zimbabwe. Then from there they have to choose. They choose roughly 200 people to go for the first round. So for the first round you write some psychometric tests, quite a number of them, and it's kind of hard and challenging. For me, it was my first time to write a psychometric test. I had no idea what it is.
That was your first time. I wish I never across those tests, because
that is my because some of the things like you have to use logic and you're seeing those things for the first time. So it was, it's an exciting experience. At the same time, it's difficult. So from the first batch of people, you also get reduced to something like 45 or 50, based on like your performance during the first round. Then in the second round you're now left with 45 to 50 people. You then get tested based on the subject you want to do in A level, right? Then from there they reduce you again to something like 20 or less. Then they do some home visits, they interview you and everything. Then that is when like they assign you to different schools. For Makomborero Zimbabwe, they just don't deal with St. George's College. They partner with 5 different schools. There's St. George's College, there's St. John's College, there's Gateway, there's Hellenic, and there's Watershed. Then you can also be a non-residential scholar. A non-residential scholar, it means, so if you get to Makomborero Zimbabwe Scholarship and you are learning at a school, any other school that I've mentioned, Group A school, which is not Watershed, you'll be staying in Mbare, which they call the boarding house. Yes, so it's more of like a boarding school in disguise, in the sense that you're not staying at your house, but you stay like with another group of people of your same age. Then you get picked out. Facilitate. Yes. Then you get picked from there every day. And you go to school. Then like it's just home. Like it's just so like it's just more of like your house. But you're not living like with your family members per se. That is what happens. Then if you're a non-residential scholar, what it means is like you are learning at any non-private school, I'd say, any other school across Zimbabwe, but you'll be staying at your house. Then they'll be paying for your fees, your uniforms, and like covering other things. Yes.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about you moving from a public school going to a private environment, because you are coming there from a totally different background from what most kids at St. George's were from. The things that you relate to, you've always related to, and the things that they relate to, these are totally different words. So what was it, your first days like transitioning into that and actually thinking, also I now have to start again looking for friends or study partners, and for you to actually say, fine, I can actually link with this person, it might actually be difficult because the languages, the things that you relate to, the common elements are totally different. So what was it like for you when you moved to St. George's?
Okay, the biggest shift and the biggest shock the first time was like the first 2 weeks or the first 1 week of my A-levels, we did it online. That was my first time learning online. It was the Google Classroom. Yes, like that was my first time learning online and everything. It's not actually hard, but the fact that like this is your first time doing it was somewhat challenging. And also I did 2-day break from O level to A level because of changing the syllabus, and ZimSec had pushed our exam schedule into January, and I had to start early with other people and everything. So that was quite a challenge, and also being in an English speaking environment. So not trying to say it in a bad way, but in most government schools, you realize that we are told to speak in English, but we don't speak in it exactly. Then now I'm in a classroom whereby like even some of my classmates, they're Zimbabweans, but they don't even understand Shona purely. I have to speak to them in English all the time. That is a little bit of a challenge. Then I think since people say O level is different from A level, things were building up. It wasn't really difficult. I think I was also privileged to the fact that some of my O level teachers, they used to teach us using both ZimSec and Cambridge content. So some of the things were not that shocking to me. Exactly. Yeah.
That's really actually interesting to find out that you didn't actually have a hard time relating and fitting in, because if it was something like me knowing myself, it was probably going to take me forever to say, so how do I really relate to you?
I think the challenge each one would have faced, like when coming to St. George's, is like there are few girls. In our stream, I think we're something like 100, but there are only 19 girls in the whole stream. Yes, in my math class, we're 14 with just 2 girls. In my chemistry class, we're 12 with just 2 girls. In my physics class, we're 17 with just 3 girls. So yes, for me, it's just that like most of my friends, they are boys. So I didn't feel much of a difference. But I think that might be a little bit shocking for someone. But with time, you get used to the system and you don't even feel any different.
Oh, yeah. But I'm really glad that it went for you. So now, Fadzai, let's talk about the importance of actually starting to look for scholarships in high school, because for your A level, it was now funded by Makomborero Zimbabwe. Then after A level, you went for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship to fund your varsity education.
Exactly.
So because I think that most people, like what we mentioned earlier, that people think out there that no, you're just supposed to have a good pass for you to have to be able to qualify for a scholarship, but then it's not always the case, especially when you now go through the application process. So can you also tell us the importance of how you getting into the Makomborero Foundation actually made it a bit easier for you to now say, I can apply for the Mastercard, and the Mastercard way saw that you had been on a previous scholarship before, and they saw your CV, the kind of things that you had achieved. Can you also tell us the importance of all that phase?
Okay, so when I was at Makomborero Zimbabwe, right, you get taught different things. They teach you about, like, okay, you have like your seniors, people who were part of Makomborero Zimbabwe from 2014, maybe 2016, 2017, and some of them, they've already graduated from some of those colleges. And even if you get to the boarding house at Makomborero Zimbabwe, you see like a lot of flags of different American universities, African universities, some universities in the UK and everything. So by just being there, there's this university which is called Yale, there's Ashesi University, there's this and that. And the moment you know about it, you'll be like, okay, let me research about it. Then some of the sessions which you have there, they sort of like groom you and they train you on, like, okay, so as you're navigating through your A levels, think about what you want to do in university. What kind of a university do you want to do, and what is it that university is looking for? You need a scholarship at that university. What do they look for if they want to offer you a scholarship? And you start working towards all those kind of things. So you realize that, like, for instance, if you get a privilege of being like at a private school, I'd say, like the one that I was at St. George's, you are encouraged to take part in extracurricular activities. Like for me, I was purely an academic person. Like books was all I knew. But when I went to St. George's, things had to change, because I have to do clubs, you have to do well in your academics, and you have to do extracurricular activities. So I became more of like a well-rounded person. I had to focus on different things, and you even do like community service, like what do you do to the community, all those kind of things. So when you're actually asked to do those things, you don't really know the reason why you're doing it. But when you're now applying for a scholarship for somewhere else, you realize that part of the application process, they're asking you, what are your extracurricular activities? What is this and that? And you realize that sometimes, okay, people might lie, but it says you might be asked to reflect on that thing. And it's easier to see that this person is writing based on experience, and this person is writing like for the sake of just writing. Exactly. So I think Makomborero Zimbabwe, someone like groomed me and exposed me to different things. Then it was now my duty to see, like, okay, what am I supposed to do in this and that? Like, for example, there's a small college in my area which is called Glenford Academy. And when I was in Form 5 and when I was in Form 4, every time that I was free, I would volunteer to go and teach people at a younger age, like in lower forms, and help them out. And that worked as my community service on my application. Yeah.
This episode of Chiedza Africa is proudly sponsored by Tank Pro. Tank Pro under Elite Tank Limited is your premier business consultancy, transforming vision into excellence for students and businesses worldwide. Offering professional short courses, website development, digital marketing, project management, bookkeeping, business support, and HR solutions. They are here to elevate your success. Dial +44 73 916 373 70, or you can WhatsApp, or visit www.tankpro.co.uk to learn more and take the next step towards your goals. Stay tuned in for more inspiring content.
Application. Yeah.
And you're actually making a lot of sense, because I once saw this Facebook post. The person posted a lot about fellowships, scholarships. It's more like an educational page for the person. So she posted this. There was a team of I think it was a chess club that were qualifying for the international world and they were going to Eastern Europe for it. Now, so in her post, she mentioned that these are the kind of activities that most parents should actually start signing up
Of course.
for their kids. Encourage your kids to venture into sports, into these clubs, even if you as a parent, you don't understand the essence of the club or what, but just to volunteer for your child, sign up your children for this, because these are the areas where they get future connections, future networking opportunities, and collaborating.
That's
and you
true.
know, and when I was going through the postcard, I was like, yes, true. When I become a parent, I'm gonna do this. And
Yes.
because my parents didn't have the kind of exposure
Yes.
that I now have, so I have to do it better for my kids. But then when I went through the comment section, the parents in that comment section were actually bashing the post, saying, yeah, we don't have the facilities, we can't afford these, people should just focus on getting straight A's and what. But then here you are, you're speaking from your own experience as a student, the importance of these extracurricular activities,
yes.
the importance of doing sports, going for clubs, which is something that parents out there need to really rethink the strategy. Because let's be honest, even if you have the flying colors, but there are some universities or some opportunities that would definitely pass you by just because no one really knows about you or
That's
what
true.
you have done.
That's true.
Because for that application because you mentioned that you can easily tell that this is a first time.
That's
This
true.
person is just writing for the sake of writing.
Yes.
And we are living in a world whereby people just type on ChatGPT, write as if I have experienced this and what.
Exactly.
ChatGPT will definitely give you
something.
In 2005 you did this
and that.
Yes.
That's so true.
So yeah, it's very important for young kids out there to sign up for these activities.
Just to add on that, you see, I don't know, but I for one, I grew up in a society and in a family whereby it's more of like you're supposed to do school all the time. Besides talking about scholarships, getting involved in clubs and sporting activities, community services and stuff, like what you mentioned earlier on, it also gives you time to network with other people. And if you are not careful at times, one of my HODs at school says that you should become like someone who's just focused on one thing. You become a boring person, and you realize that if you just try to focus on school all the time, you might even end up like having some mental challenges because you don't have anything else that you do outside of school to actually distress. And also you might be shocked that some of the things that you actually, I didn't know that I'm an athlete. Like but like after trying it, I realized that, oh wow, I can actually run and everything. So when you try some of those things, you might even be passionate about them, and you might even find like you're even good at them. And for some people that end up like some of the skills they learn in different clubs, they end up like using them to earn a living in the future and everything. So I think it's something that people have to know, that you mustn't just focus on academics. Also try to create a balance between try to create a balance between extracurricular activities and school as well. And based on scholarships are different. There are need-based scholarships, there are merit scholarships, and you can even get a sporting scholarship. So if you say, let's say you're an academic person, pure academic person, and that's if you're going to get a merit scholarship, it's going to be based on like your academic achievement. Then and one way or the other, in most cases, when you go there, you need to try as much as you can to maintain that graph, to do well along the way. If it's need based, it's as a result of, okay, fine, you're having financial constraints at your house and you need help. That is how it is like. Then if it's a sporting scholarship, purely sporting scholarship, one way or the other, let's say you're playing rugby or you're playing basketball, you're going to that university, you'll be playing basketball for that university and everything. So that is how it is like. Then but overall they look at other things, like, okay, in as much as it's like need based, of course we are seeing that you're in need of financial support, but what do you do like on your academics? So how do you perform extracurricular activities? What do you do? So like based on the scholarship that you're applying for, you really need to know like, okay, this is what I have to focus on more. This is what I really have to do well. And one thing is like the reason why also people are supposed to do extracurricular activities. Everyone is passing with 10 A's. Everyone is looking for that opportunity. Amongst 100 people, we just need 3. How are we going to pick so and so and so from this large group? So those small things you do, they sort of like differentiate you from the rest. Exactly. And that also shows the reason why you mustn't just do sports for the sake of like doing, or just become like a leader for the sake of doing. Try to make an impact. Try to do something differently, such that when all of you have got your A's here, they can now differentiate you. And that's the reason why you can see some people who don't have like straight A's, or maybe A's and B's, getting scholarships more than someone who had like straight A's. It's because the other person is more like a well-rounded person, and they're able to create a balance on each and every single thing that they do.
So you mentioned that besides the scholarship opportunities and what some scholarship applications will be looking for, the importance of actually doing sports and clubs for networking. To me, when I was in high school, the day that is reserved for clubs was actually my favorite day. Like I loved, like, because it was every Wednesday for the high school that I went to, it was club day. Like I would spend almost half of the day like just trying out different clubs to see what is it that I can do. Then when it's, because yes, in class I was good, but with clubs, because I felt like no, I need this, I need this people skills, this, because in the future, because I think maybe because I actually knew what I wanted to do in the future, so I was like, no, in the class it won't get me anyway. I will get the A's in the class, but there are certain things that I need to learn being among people to see how I can, if what I want to do in the future is viable. So I actually learned how to talk, how to write, because in class I really studied writing, like comprehension, composition, and drawings or whatever. But then with clubbing, they made it easy for me because it was fun. They were like, you can write from any angle that you want. It was
not really, being mugged and everything.
Mugged, yeah. So the element you have to know, it's not being mugged. I get to connect with people and I get to explore. So clubbing for me, not the actual clubbing. I'm clubbing one. I don't know which clubbing now. Like school clubs. It was actually my favorite time. And when I went to varsity, because I was so used to trying out different activities, it was easy for me to just start connecting with people, because I'm used to it already. Because if you're only a bookworm, trust me, if you're a bookworm in high school, that doesn't take time to actually join clubs and activities. In university, it's very hard now, because you're now 21. You now want to start opening that shell, and you're coming across people like Fadzai who or people like Praise who talk a lot, and you have always been focused in books. So people should start in high school to explore different elements before going into varsity, because it will be so difficult for you to really start connecting with so people. But I'm so glad that your age, you're now going for second year varsity. So maybe some young people out there listening, because young people will be like, if I'm to talk, or if someone older is to talk, they'll be like, nah, I don't know much. But at least they have you to listen from. Now, Father, let's take it back to, so you told me before we went on the camera that you finished your O-level, was it Zimsek, right?
Yes.
Like this Friday. Then the next Monday, you're already in class for A-level. Like she only had a weekend, guys, like a Sunday and a Saturday. Only some of us had like an entire 2 months for me to start, because with Zimsek you write your O-levels in November, right? Then you have December and January, then maybe a little bit of February, then you start A-level mid-March. But you only had a Saturday and a Sunday. Like, how? How did it happen? Like, what was, like, tell us the state of your mind, and even like your family, like what was going on when you say, guys, I'm studying A-level Monday and today is a Saturday?
Okay, so I think my family was happy and excited for me, because like definitely they're happy that I'm now going to A-level. My school is being paid for. I was also excited in the sense that I've been to St. George's before. But And that was my first time being at a group A school in Zimbabwe. Like, St. George's is very big. Like, when I went there for the first time, I was like, oh wow, that school exists. Like, what is this Zimbabwe? That kind of a thing. So the fact that that is where I'm going, I was actually excited and everything. But I was so tired because like that previous week, I just finished my paper 2 exams, like technical graphics, physics, all those exams. I was actually tired, and I don't want to lie to you. I told you like first week of my A levels, we're doing it online. I think I had 3 experiences whereby I would sleep and wake up. It's just me and the teacher in the class, and everyone is exited. Then they're like, Fadzai, are you there? And I'm like, yes, I'm there. I'll actually sleep because like I was just I had no option, but I was tired. But I think it was worth it. It taught me to be strong and brave.
Yeah, because I can just imagine the state of your mind, because you said the past week you written technical graphics and
physics and chemistry,
and you were also going into the sciences class,
maths, physics and chemistry.
Never be me.
But and also the fact that like at the boarding house it was like 10 of us. So sometimes you see like you feel it's easy because you're like, I'm not the only one experiencing this.
No wonder.
Yeah, it's a lot of us. At least it's quite a number of us and everything, but it was somehow challenging. I think we mentally picked up, I think, after 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Wow. It was somewhat challenging.
I can just imagine. So let's also take it back to you. After A level, right?
Yes.
You didn't do like this year I did my A level, I'm done. Next year I'm already in class for varsity. You actually took a gap year.
Yes.
So tell us what was what was actually happening in your life during that break year, and what did that break year what did the break year told you about yourself, and what is it that you can do for your career in the future? What was the importance of taking a break here? Because we find that most people will be saying, no, why do I need a break here? But then in some instances,
it's really important.
It's really important because it's not going from grade 1 to grade 2.
That's true.
You are now going into varsity, and varsity is now going to shape your entire career.
That's true.
Because if you mess it up on the varsity stage, then it's really going to be hard for you to actually find your footing again.
Yeah.
So what was going through in your life, in your mind during that gap year for you?
Oh, so like I took a gap year at a stationery shop in Zimbabwe, which is called Bamm Stationers in Belvedere. And like enough, I got it with my best friend.
Okay.
So this friend of mine, we learned together Form 1, Form 4. We both got the Makomborero Zimbabwe Scholarship. Wow. But she was at a different school.
Okay.
So we stayed together for 2 years. And we got the same internship at Bamm Stationers. So it was now like 7 years of the same person. So it was initially it was so hard because we're the youngest people working there. You're working like with people older than you, people like in their late 20s, people their 30s, 40s, and you're still teenagers working there. And some of the stuff that you it's like when you went there are times where like you're given things to do based on your age. Then somewhere because of how you're doing them, you sort of like do things beyond your age, I would say. Then you end up being given more. And like the CEO of the company one was like, you guys, I understand that you're coming from university. You have no idea of like what how the work environment works, and you don't even have any experience. I want you to explore. I want you to navigate through like every department. So at times we're in the warehouse department. There's sometimes you help with the sales. Sometimes go for deliveries. Sometimes help the cashier in accounts, and sometimes help the receptionist or those kind of things to have the experience. So for me, it sort of like taught me how to communicate with people, because you're at a working environment and someone is like, let's say, you see, you're working in the same department and someone does something wrongly and all of you get blamed. There's no way you're going to be like, no, it's on me, so and so. Just need to calm down and you correct that mistake as a group. I learned about teamwork and I learned to be punctual. because I started working like at 8 and finished around 5. And I also learned how to communicate with people because in the warehouse, many times customers would come in and have to help them, and you have to explain to them other things. Like, okay, you're looking for this kind of like paper, this is how it works, all those kind of things. So I think for me, it helped me mostly in my soft skills because it's a different field from what I'm actually interested in. I think if one is to take like a gap year and they get an opportunity to take it like within their field of interest, like let's say you are interested in aviation, maybe you volunteer or you get an internship at an airport or at an aviation firm, that kind of thing. You sort of like get experience with what actually happens, and you realize that some lessons are learned through experience. Yes. So sometimes if you actually work with those people, maybe all you know is like maybe just being an accountant. Like, okay, I want to go and do finance and accounting, and I want to become an accountant. But maybe there's that position that you don't know, and you can only know about it when you take the gap year job. And also for people who are confused on like what they want to study and everything, you can rotate 1 month or 2 months. You can work with this company, or you can help someone doing their project and everything. Then you sort of like get exposed to other things. In as much as I was working at a stationery shop, I also got to visit farms.
Okay.
Because I'm interested in agriculture as well. So like I had to learn a lot of things, and I think those are the main advantages of taking a gap year job. And it's also good to rest. Like I understand that your colleagues will be starting on that same year and everything, but if you want to just take a rest and doing other things, it's actually okay. And you realize that year is not wasted actually, because when you finish that gap year job or that internship, ask the person you're dealing with, can you please write a recommendation letter for me? Can you, if you're on LinkedIn and you put it on LinkedIn, can you please endorse it for me? You realize that even in your second or third year, when you're looking for an attachment or for an internship, you already have a 1 year experience, which is different from someone who just came from A level and straight into A. This person is now looking for an opportunity to start working. For you now, you have like this part of academics and also working experience that you'd have gained. So if you want to go for a gap year job, there's no problem with it. But mostly, I would say, if it is possible, get it like within the field of your interest, so that you get exposed more.